It's time for live chat. The Psyche Truth live chat. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. It's the Psyche Truth live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. It's the Psyche Truth live chat with Meera Hoffman. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Presenting the lovely Meera. This is Meera's first time on the live chat, so be sure to send her your welcomes and hellos. We have a very special show for you today. As always, we will be taking your questions live, so you can go ahead and start leaving them in the comment section here. We are going to start with the questions that were left on our Facebook page. As always, if you want us to elaborate on a topic or anything like that, you can just leave your question there. Meera, do you want to introduce yourself? Maybe tell a little about yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Meera Hoffman. I have been a licensed massage therapist for about 10 years now. And I also have a yoga practice. I got to go study yoga in India back in 2006. It's a beautiful journey. I highly recommend, if you have a dream like that, to follow it. And yeah, I've been in Austin for 30 years, so I love it here. I think it's a great home, and it's finally starting to feel like fall, which is very refreshing.
Definitely. Yeah, and the cool thing about Texas is that it's like hot one day, cold the next day, hot one day, cold the next day. So even when you think that it's wintertime, you know that you'll probably be in shorts again in just a couple of days.
It's definitely true.
Alrighty, so we've got Charlie in the house, George is here, Crystal is here, Amanda is here, Darren is here, Naomi. We've got a lot of course, familiar faces, and it looks like we have a couple new faces too. So welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started with these Facebook questions. And there were actually a lot of questions left on the Facebook, so we will try to get to them in a timely manner. I'm going to blow up this page so that we can actually read it. Alrighty. So Robert Williamson asked a question. Radiation poisoning should be on everyone's mind currently. What could you tell me about how people can take protective measures? So let's just talk a little bit about radiation. So the first thing to realize is that every single thing emits radiation. Meera is emitting radiation at me right now. The computer emits radiation. Our cell phones, internet towers, of course, microwaves, and of course things like mammograms, x-rays, right, where we literally know we're being exposed to radiation. So our bodies can handle certain amounts of radiation and actually need certain kinds of radiation, but I imagine what Robert is alluding to is the Fukushima radiation spill, I guess you could call it. And I've gotten a lot of questions about this, so I just want to talk a little bit about it. I did do a little bit of research. The Fukushima disaster is at a level 3 out of 7, as estimated by National Geographic. They said that compared to Chernobyl, it's much less disastrous. There's a lot less harm, potentially, that's going to be done. So that just gives you a little bit of information on, well, how severe is this Fukushima radiation issue? So in terms of recommendations on how we can protect ourselves from this radiation, what we can do, first off, probably avoiding fish and other sea-type products that come from the Pacific Ocean or that come from Japan. There's a couple countries, I think, that have already banned fish from Japan and stuff like that. So if we can eat our fish and other seafood-type products from places other than the Pacific Ocean, that's going to help. But the thing about radiation is that it's pretty pervasive. So if you're really worried about radiation, you may just want to avoid fish and sea products completely. The other thing is dairy and meat, because animals that are at the top of the food chain get exposure to radiation on kind of every level, right? So the water that they drink, the water that's poured on the grass, which actually in the grass that's in the ground. So dairy and meat are going to be largely contaminated with Fukushima radiation, especially if they're coming from an area close to the Pacific Ocean, close to the west coast of the United States, etc. And things that are helpful. So I found a really helpful article. We might be actually posting it on the Facebook tomorrow. But they said that citrus and apple pectin, which is actually found in the cell wall of these certain plants, particularly citrus and apple, can be helpful. Spirulina and chlorella, which come from the sea. So the one thing they mention is that if you're going to use these products, you may want to get them from somewhere other than Japan or other than the Pacific Ocean. But the different seaweed products, as well as chlorella and spirulina, green tea and black tea, are all well known for minimizing the effects of radiation. Also, iodine, and this is probably something that I actually need to go out and get. So iodine protects our thyroid, and it's really important to protect our thyroid because it's pretty much like open season for toxins and things in our environment to start attacking our thyroid glands. So iodine is really essential for protecting our thyroid. That's a supplement that you can look into. And of course, I was happy to see this, but the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, kale, spinach, as well as the vegetables that contain a lot of vitamins C and E, like carrots, sweet potatoes, beets, squash. All of those vegetables are going to be really helpful. Yet another reason to eat vegetables. Everybody knows that I love that. Selenium is also known to protect DNA. So again, you can get selenium from vegetables, or you can actually buy the supplement itself. Legumes like lentils, beans, red clover, as well as miso, cilantro, reishi mushrooms, bentonite clay, which Meera actually did a video about a week or two ago, and a couple of different herbs. So I would just say if you're trying to protect yourself from radiation, you want to eat a lot more vegetables, always one of my favorite recommendations. And then again, like I said, I will go ahead and post that article on Facebook tomorrow, so y'all can read up more on that if you'd like.
I did want to add just one small point on that, and I know that we all have a lot of awareness about eating organic these days, which is really important. Unfortunately, the USDA guidelines for labeling food as organic does not look for radiation. So a lot of our organic farms, which are on the West Coast in California, right, they're susceptible to radiation, those radioactive isotopes, but the USDA is not testing for those. So just make sure that when you are going out to buy your groceries and stuff that you're considering that. I know a lot of these great vegetables that we listed, you're trying to avoid sources of that and help treat and prevent the negative effects that those radiations have. But it's also a good opportunity to maybe buy local or create a farm yourself, have a little garden out behind your back in your backyard. So those are some other options and just things to think about.
Awesome. Very helpful advice from Meera. That's why we like her. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving. As always, if you want us to elaborate on this topic, you can leave a comment. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and move on. So the next question, this one actually looks like it is for Meera. And it's from Jacqueline Monique Sourlulu. I don't really know how to pronounce your last name. I apologize. And Jacqueline's question is, which is the best massage type for physiotherapists and yoga teachers to study and specialize in?
So that's a great question, Jacqueline, and I feel like massage is such a diverse field that you could really choose a lot of different avenues to study. One of the ones that I feel like has been really helpful for me is what I call structural bodywork and integrative massage. The reason why I tend to lean towards that is as a yoga teacher, you're already going to have a lot of foundation in the anatomy and physiology of the muscles, and it really targets looking at people's posture, analyzing that posture, and creating a treatment plan of massage that will really help get positive patient outcomes for your clients. So that would be one field that I would really want to dive in if that was my background and interest. If you're looking for techniques that can kind of fall under that umbrella. One of those is deep massage. I feel like that's a really great area to focus in on. You're going to be able to treat more layers of massage. So I feel like Swedish, although it does have a lot of benefits that help a lot of different clients, deep massage will get at the deeper layers and some of these root causes. I had a patient that I worked with, and we did a treatment of 10 one-hour sessions over the course of about 6 or 7 weeks, and she had scoliosis, and using these techniques of deep massage and then also doing pre and post massage assessments, we were able to help correct some of the spinal curvature that she was suffering from. So that was a really cool opportunity and experience to guide a patient through that.
So obviously I'm not a yoga teacher, but I will just say from my experience working at Psyche Truth for 3 years, learning anatomy and physiology not only has helped me learn a lot about my posture and things like that, but definitely have seen it be really, really helpful for both yoga teachers and massage therapists. So I would just put out there to everybody that learning a little bit about anatomy and physiology goes a long way in helping us take care of ourselves better. And as well, of course, as helping other people. So this next question is from Mohammed Elbswoni. I feel so bad trying to... I feel like roll call. I feel like a first grade teacher in will call looking at everybody's last name and just, and I haven't even gotten to the worst one yet. But, okay, so Mohammed asked, what's the truth about fluoride in chemtrails? So the first thing I want to say is that I don't know the truth about everything. I know what I can do research on. It's nothing that you yourself can't also do. So I know a bit more about fluoride than I do about chemtrails, so I'm going to start there. We actually have several videos on our channel about water fluoridation. So most people's concern when they ask about fluoride is about the fluoride being added to the water. So a couple kind of key points to know. Number one, the chemical that they use to fluoridate our water is called hydrofluorosilicic acid, and it's very different than sodium fluoride or many of these different what we think of as natural fluoride compounds or natural chemicals that contain fluoride. So this chemical that they use is actually a byproduct of the fertilizer industry. So I think that there's some kind of funny business conflict of interest kind of thing going down between the industry that's creating this chemical and the pharmaceutical industries, coming and then pitching it to all of our different government agencies that, hey, this is going to help with people's teeth. So they have found that topical fluoride, which would mean just having it on your teeth, on the outside of your teeth, can help with preventing cavities. But systemic fluoride, such as something that we drink, something that goes into our bloodstream, actually has really negative health effects. So it can affect your liver, your kidneys, it can cause mental issues. There's a lot of, as well as just the fluorosis of the teeth, which is the spotting on the teeth. So I'm very against water fluoridation. I have a filter on my water filter at home that takes the fluoride out, and I actually had to buy a specific filter, an additional filter, to take out the fluoride. But I think that it's a very worthwhile investment. I think I paid $50 for the little, enhanced fluoride filter thing. So it's definitely something that I would recommend if you want to learn more about fluoride. We've got 3 videos on our channel where Dr. Griffin Cole, who's a local dentist, talks extensively, pretty much telling you everything you need to know about water fluoridation. And regarding chemtrails, I really can't say. And what I will say is that oftentimes when people bring up these discussions of what a lot of people would call conspiracy theories, I think it's important to kind of break it down into its parts. So there's a couple of different aspects here. There's one aspect, which is that they can actually test the sky and find that, like one of the documentaries I watched said there's 20 times higher aluminum content in the sky than expected or than what would be considered normal. There's aluminum, there's barium in the atmosphere. So we can observe that, okay, well, clearly these things are here. But then there's this aspect of the intention where people say, somebody wants to kill us, this is a mass extermination, and they're poisoning the air and they're using chemtrails. I don't know that. It's really going to be hard for just about anybody to know that. And I think that we can make a lot of comments about chemtrails without even touching on whether or not somebody has a mass extermination plan for us or something. So I would just encourage all of you to do your own research and just be aware that when it comes to these kind of scare tactics or fear tactics, there's a lot of websites that will purposefully try to scare you just to keep you watching or just to keep you reading. And so you really need to be aware of that and just think critically. And if somebody's making a whole lot of claims and making a whole lot of claims about somebody's supposed intention, then that's kind of a red flag for me. And I would just encourage you guys to focus on what can be known. Focus on these things where they can actually test the atmosphere and, come up with a very scientific finding. Do you have any thoughts on fluoride or chemtrails?
Honestly, those are areas that I don't know a lot about, so I would just agree with Corrina, about having a really good water filter. I think that's very important for us these days. And then as far as the chemtrails, I think it could be conspiracy theory, it could be truth, but are we going to be able to get access to those government files? No way. So
yeah, and because we've done a couple videos where Colin Ross, for instance, filed a what's called Freedom of Information Act request, which is how you would go about requesting documentation from the government. And in one of his videos, he told us there's about a 30 to 40 year lag between something happening and the government releasing their official files on it. So the time span that the government's actually going to start giving us the files that we'd like to see, we're going to be old ladies. Right? So again, I find that I can keep myself plenty busy focusing on things that I can observe, that I know are factually happening, and that is where I kind of try to keep my interest, though I do try to stay informed and as well. Okay, so Borny IKEA Bullistlift. IKEA Bull I Stift. I don't know. Okay, so Borny is watching from Germany. I hope that you're here today. He said, Meera is a very good reason to stay awake here in Germany until 1 a.m. So if you're up, then kudos to you. Thank you for pulling a late nighter with us. And so this is kind of an interesting question. So do you have German ancestors that you know of? Do you like singing with your beautiful voice, even if it's only in your bathtub in private?
So yes, to answer your question, I do have German ancestors, not that I know of as far as personally. I wish I had some grandparents or great-grandparents in Germany that I could go visit. My mom is part of the Pennsylvania Dutch community and moved down to Texas back in the 70s. And my dad has been in Houston for many years. Texas also has a big German colony, so we have lovely kolaches that I love enjoying. So yes, pretty much 99.9% German is my ancestry. As far as singing, I have not explored singing that much. Yes, sometimes I will sing in private in my car or in the shower, but it's something that I've been thinking of exploring more, so cool. Maybe more to come. We'll see.
And I would just throw on there that I actually have German ancestry as well. I know that my grandmother was German. I never got to meet her, unfortunately, but I do have some German blood as well. And of course, you guys know that I like to sing up a storm. I do also like to sing in the bathtub, though. It is true. Alrighty. And Borny, also, I will make a better point to post the times in the international conversion, so hopefully it'll be easier to convert that over too. That was a great suggestion, so thank you. All right, moving right along, Sydney Olivia Conway. So Sydney actually has a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to go through these quickly. So the first one is, I know produce loses a lot of nutritional value when it travels a long distance. Therefore, if buying local isn't an option, is it better to buy fruits and vegetables that have been flash frozen at the peak of freshness rather than fruits or vegetables that have traveled a long distance? That's a really good question, and I would actually probably need to do a little bit of research. I, in general, think that freezing vegetables is probably not the most optimal way to preserve freshness. But at the same time, you're right. If you're just buying the vegetables that are in a supermarket, then they've probably traveled a pretty considerable difference. So what I kind of like to say is that if you're eating a vegetable, give yourself a pat on the back, whether it is frozen, whether it is organic, whether it is conventional or not. Just eating vegetables is what's important. So think about what's most practical for you. If eating frozen fruits and vegetables is really the only thing that you can see yourself doing, then go for it. But if you can do the fresh veggies, and especially if you can do something local, that's gonna be better, but any vegetable is better than no vegetable at all. And let's see, so am I vegetarian? Do I still eat fish? What's the reasoning behind it? So I am a pescatarian, right? So I do eat fish. But I mostly eat vegetables, and I don't eat animal products. I guess you could say I don't eat mammals or birds. So the reasoning really, it's kind of a little arbitrary for me. Part of it is that I went vegan while I was dating somebody who was vegan a couple of years ago, and then I just kind of slowly started reintegrating things based on what I was craving. So first I started with eggs, then I started reintegrating a little bit of cheese and dairy, although I do try to be sparing with the dairy because I find it makes me a little sniffly. And, honestly, the factory farming methods drive me nuts. And so even if I did eat animals, I would never eat a factory farmed animal. And that really is because of the, cruelty to animals that they suffer. So not only is factory farmed meat incredibly unhealthy for us to eat, but you can only imagine this really sad, unhealthy animal. And that makes me really, really, really sad. It makes me not want to support factory farming. So I would just say to people who do eat meat products, I would encourage you to look for grass-fed meat products. And again, this is another area we have lots of videos discussing. And this last question, I remember as a kid, the food pyramid claimed that we required a significant amount of grains in our diet. Is this still true? Why or why not? The answer is it was never true. So the reason that the USDA, so remember that's the U.S. Department of Agriculture, right? So the USDA made that food pyramid based on what would help the agriculture, the agricultural economy. So they realized, hey, we can grow a lot of grain here in America, right? It's in our national anthem, or America the Beautiful. And so they realized, hey, we could bank on people eating more grains. So literally that is why, or one of the reasons why, at least, grains made up that huge portion of the food pyramid. The other thing was that you got to remember that for people that are starving or people who have no food, grains is a really cheap way to feed them. So another part of that was going, well, the problem is not that people are overeating, the problem is that people aren't eating enough, so we need to fatten them up. And they wanted to do that with grains. So now, 20, 30 years later, we're wondering why everybody's so fat, and it's because we were told to eat grains. So not only are grains highly inflammatory and potentially can be allergens for many different people, but there's just more and more information coming out about grains and specifically wheat. Mm-hmm. So I would just encourage everybody to do a little due diligence in there and start just limiting your intake of carbohydrates and grains. And definitely take the refined wheat, the white bread, the white tortilla, the white pasta, take that stuff out of your diet completely. So did you have any thoughts on any of these little questions here? Vegetarian, are you vegetarian?
I actually am not vegetarian. As far as what the food pyramid goes, yeah, I definitely agree. You don't need as much grains as they recommend. There's a lot of empty carbs there and not a lot of great nutrients. If you are going to eat grains, some good grains to check out are quinoa. That has a lot of proteins in it, complex proteins, which are good for you. Amaranth is another good one. Mm-hmm. Try and stay away from the white rice. Same thing as the white bread. It's just really bleached. It's devoid of a lot of the nutrients and stuff that originally some of the older grain strands of rice had in them. So yeah, just a couple little comments on those.
Awesome. Okay, so let's see. So here's another question from Meera, and I do promise we'll get into the chat soon, but I wanted to, our format is to get through these. So Amanda asked about Obamacare. I'm going to hold off on that a little bit, so that we can hopefully get to some of these other questions, but maybe we'll talk about Obamacare. Why don't y'all go ahead in the comment section in the chat, let us know if you want us to discuss Obamacare or not, and we'll just kind of take a vote and see how many people want to hear something on that topic. So Borny had another question. This one looks like it's for Meera. What parts of a client's body do you like to massage the most? And do you maybe plan to do something for the ASMR community as well? Not to mention your voice has great potential for giving a sparkling and tingling sensation. Your nearly unknown self-massage video where you give yourself a little self-love is my favorite, by the way.
Well, thank you. Your comments are very sweet. As far as my favorite parts to massage, I definitely love the neck. I think that's because I carry a lot of my tension in the neck and shoulders, and I know a lot of clients do, so I feel like that's a place that I really love to dive and explore. I would say the other one is the feet, just because we're always walking on our feet. We carry a lot of tension there. There's some great reflexology points, so if you haven't explored reflexology, basically the bottoms of the feet and the hands are a mirror image of the body. So if you think of the hands and the fingertips being sort of like the top of the head and the ears down to the neck, and then you get sort of the main body of the hand and the digestive organs and into the hips and legs. I just feel like working in that one area, you can almost give like a full body massage to somebody, and it feels great. So some people are a little ticklish though, and they don't want their feet to be worked on, which I completely understand. That happens sometimes, or they are awkward about their feet being touched, so that's okay too. But those are my two little areas that I love to work and love to have massaged on myself.
Awesome.
What was the other? Oh, as far as doing more of the ASMR stuff, I'm happy to put myself out there as a voice and do more work through the Psyche Truth channel or other avenues. It's definitely been a fun journey for me, and I'm glad that I'm able to reach and connect with so many people that are interested in this type of information.
Okay, so we're almost through with these Facebook questions. So Tom Christiana asks, I've been wondering just how important it is to wash fresh fruits and veggies like apples, grapes, broccoli prior to eating, especially non-organic, as I find very cost prohibitive to buy organic. Is there really a need to scrub? Does organic not need to be washed? When you're buying non-organic, it is definitely really important to wash your veggies. So again, I would say it's going to be healthier for you to eat an unwashed veggie than to eat no veggie at all. But pretty much everything, unless it's organic, is sprayed with pesticides. Once they pick it, they spray it with something. Who knows what they spray it with, because they don't tell us that, right? There's not a little label that says sprayed with. So I think rinsing off your veggies is really important. You can use, if you don't really want to like scrub really hard, you could put a little hydrogen peroxide in the water. That might, will provide a little extra cleaning. I think with organic, I don't necessarily scrub my stuff, but I do try to give it I'll just be honest, here's what I do. I kind of have a plastic, like the salad tubs, and I'll just kind of fill it with some water and shake the veggies up in there a lot. It's what I did with my broccoli last night. So I think rinsing is really important, especially if it's non-organic. I think scrubbing is really important, especially if it's non-organic. But again, an unwashed veggie is still healthier for you than no veggies at all. So don't let that stop you from eating vegetables. Do you have any thoughts on that area?
The other thing that I would just add is, just like you, when you go to a grocery store, people are touching and picking up and want to feel the fruit or the veggie or smell it or look at it. So, hopefully their hands are clean, but sometimes they aren't, and sometimes they may be sick and not know it. So I just feel like give your veggies a little wash and some love before you put them in your mouth.
Yeah. Just like you wouldn't go to the grocery store and lick the handle of the grocery cart. That's a really good point, is that, yeah, when you pick up an apple or something, you don't really know how many different hands have touched it. Not to mention the hands of the people that work there, the hands of the people that picked it, et cetera, et cetera. So, occipital neuralgia.
Okay.
That might be...
Yeah, Amanda, thank you for writing. I am not super familiar with your condition that you're asking about. Occipital neuralgia, if I'm just going to break that down, occipital, so that's your eyes, and it could be the occipital bone. Neuralgia means pain, nerve pain specifically. So unfortunately, I would have to have more information and maybe some information from your doctor to understand a little bit more about what specifically is going on, and to do a little bit more research so we can get back to you on that.
Yeah, and that is definitely an area that, we can do a little bit of research on and get back with you. And again, there's so many different physical therapists and MDs that we work with that I will kind of put that question out to a couple different people and see if we can get a good answer for you. All right, so we just had a huge comment influx going on here in the chat. So I'm going to try and start running through some of these questions. So, okay, Naomi Sky. I always have irregular periods, very painful. What do you think might be the causes? I'm 25 years old. Thanks. So, number one, taking birth control pills can lead to painful and irregular periods. Even though they often prescribe birth control pills to regulate your periods, anytime you're artificially messing with your hormones, this can potentially cause irregularities, right? And can potentially be dangerous. Also, boys, plug your ears if you want to, but using tampons can contribute to painful periods. So you may look at alternatives to doing that, or just try to limit how many tampons you use. And I don't mean by that you want to leave it in for a long time, right? I think they say like 6 to 7 hours is the maximum time, but just that you wouldn't, use only tampons the entire time. Also, eating a bunch of sugar, eating a bunch of caffeine a couple of days before my period will always make it worse. Whereas if I can just make a note to not have caffeine and try to eat really healthy before, generally I have a much less painful period. I also think being active, keeping your body moving, staying flexible is also going to help you. Lymphatic massage can be really helpful as well. You just get the idea that if things are stagnating and kind of sitting still in the body, it's going to make the pain a lot worse, and it's going to make it a lot harder for your body to handle all the different things that are going on while you're on your flow. Do you have any tips or ideas on that?
If I were you, I would definitely be curious to work with my doctor and maybe have a hormone panel done to understand if there are some hormonal imbalances. Sometimes, like we were talking about the thyroid earlier, if you have low thyroid or high thyroid, that can definitely influence a whole cascade of hormones that are related to your cycle. So definitely what Corrina was saying as far as being healthy and getting some regular exercise. Exercise releases endorphins. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to make your whole body feel better. It's going to help your body be able to deal with pain better. So those small things that may not be an issue can feel a lot more intense when you're not getting that regular exercise. So those are a few options. Definitely diet. I know that sugar is a big one. Caffeine, another one. Alcohol. If you're drinking regularly or around your cycle and stuff, that can exacerbate the level of pain that you're feeling. So unfortunately, with our health, I always feel like you want the one answer, the golden ticket to solve all your problems, and oftentimes it can be a road that you're having to map out and try going down this pathway, and maybe that's a dead end, so you come back to source and go down this other pathway and explore that, and you're just kind of crossing off all these possibilities of what could be contributing, and it may not be one, it may be all of those together. So hopefully you have some good starting places, and definitely I would encourage you to kind of work more to find out if you have great health insurance and want to see if you can get a functional hormone panel done. I would highly recommend that.
Awesome. Really good ideas. Okay, so Davy Jones asked about chronic liver disease and lymphatic massage. That's not something that I know about right off the bat, but I did make a note to ask Athena about it. Do you know anything about?
I don't. He seemed to have one. Okay, so, yeah, unfortunately I don't. I mean, definitely lymphatic is going to help increase your circulation and help kind of move the blood in the lymph system, which can help increase your immune system. But if you, depending on how progressed your liver disease, yeah, I'd have to do some more research before I'd feel comfortable totally diving into that question.
Okay, so Crystal Schultz asks if we could do a video about exactly what microwaving food does to it, what effects there are for each kind of food, and does it do anything to water. So I have been kind of working on a video about microwaving for a while. Just to give you guys a quick note for those who haven't heard my little microwave rant, I avoid microwaves. I've been avoiding them for probably 6 years now. Again, back to that discussion of radiation and kind of going, well, why would we want to expose ourselves to more radiation than we're already exposed to just living our everyday lives? So basically the way a microwave works is it applies this radiation and it makes the particles in the food move around really crazy fast. And so you can get the idea. If you are a really delicate plant enzyme, then somebody shaking the heck out of you is probably going to be damaging, right? So just get that applying radiation to our food is really delicate, and especially when we're talking about, and I guess it's really any food, but especially vegetables, I would say, are kind of especially fragile. Applying radiation to it so that the particles move at a rate unlike they would normally be moving in that amount of time has a lot of different effects. Breaking down the enzymes, breaking down the vitamins is one thing. Even to water, there's some really interesting studies that have been done on microwaved water. So I won't even microwave water. But again, Crystal, I will go ahead and work on a video where I can actually cite a little bit more research for you guys and give you a little bit better understanding. Do you have any thoughts on microwaving?
Yeah, I would avoid it. I mean, pretty much beyond the effects that you're just doing to the food that you're trying to consume, it's also you're getting that just passive radiation standing in front of it. Yes, they're screened or whatever, but that's not blocking 100% of the radiation that the microwave produces. Anytime you heat food, you're definitely starting to break down those enzymes and proteins and stuff. So that's why a lot of raw foodists are against heating their food, because they want to have it as fresh as possible and preserve a lot of the enzymes and positive aspects that those vegetables provide.
Definitely. And to give you guys an alternative, we actually have a toaster oven. I have got a toaster oven at home, and of course a regular oven, which is always really easy. But most people have toaster ovens at their work now. So I have a glass, it's called Corningware. I don't know if anybody calls it Corningware anymore, but right, it's just like a glass, looks like a Tupperware and has a lid. But anything that you would make in a microwave, including a microwave meal, I actually showed in one of my videos that you can dump the microwave meal out of its plastic or cardboard casing, put it in one of these glass things, put on the lid, and heat it up in a toaster oven. Of course, it's going to take longer than it would in a microwave, but if we're planning a little bit and we're thinking a little bit about food ahead of time, rather than just going for the instant gratification and the quick fix, then adding a little bit of extra time there shouldn't be a big deal. Okie dokie. So, Poomser, really good question. Is it true that bras are bad for your breasts? So, in short, I would say yes. So there's a couple of things. Number one, just having something really tight, cutting off your circulation, is going to be an issue. So we've got lymph nodes right under our armpits. And so this is an area of a lot of toxins flowing through our body and being disposed of through our different lymph nodes. So if you have something really, really tight underneath your bust and you're blocking the circulation here, then I think that is going to be pretty problematic, especially something consistent over time. So I think about my girlfriends that I knew who used to sleep in their bra and pretty much wear their bra like 24 hours a day. You get the idea that you're kind of cutting off some really important circulation there. Also, the underwire in the bra, they've done a lot of different research showing, there's one that actually shows on the rib cage that like little, I don't know what you would call them, but little bumps that kind of formed on the rib cage as a result of having an underwire pushed up against it a lot. So I'm wearing an underwire right now. I'm not saying that you can never do it, but I do think that it's a good idea to kind of not be doing it all the time and have some alternatives and have some days where you don't wear an underwire. Definitely when we sleep, you want to be as unrestricted as possible. And if you do need some kind of support or something, just look for something that's not going to be really tight and cutting off the circulation underneath your breasts. Anything to add?
Yeah, one of the things that I have found is for some of the ladies that have larger chests, it does help to have a bra just to give that extra support. I know a lot of times that can create a lot of back problems, especially in the upper back and the shoulders. So if you're C, D, or even greater cup, I would say that it's probably going to be more comfortable for you to have a bra on. But like Corrina said, I think at night, if you can take it off and just be more comfortable, it's going to be better for you and your body.
Right. And sometimes, what I found, if I just if I just buy like a sports bra that's actually too big for me, then it won't be cutting off my circulation so bad, but it'll give me a little bit of support if I need it. So really good question, Poopser. I know that one didn't necessarily apply to you, but thank you for asking that question. So Yuma Cookie says, how old are you guys? I'm 28.
I'm 30.
Cool. So we're just, hanging out in our late 20s. So let's see. Crystal Schultz, what's your take on fluoride in toothpaste? Should I switch? I do not use a fluoride toothpaste. Again, it could be, certainly fluoride in your toothpaste is going to be a lot potentially safer than fluoride in your water. Because again, we're back to that difference between topical fluoride and fluoride that is systemic, that is taken into our bloodstream. The only thing is that the test that they've done on the topical fluoride, it's when the fluoride is held on the teeth for, I think it's like 10 minutes or something. And nobody freaking brushes their teeth for 10 minutes. Your mouth would be like a super tingly, burny sensation. So I think as far as the fluoride goes, it's kind of unrealistic that, swishing for 30 seconds, which is what we used to do in the dentist office, is going to really help you. And also, anytime you put something in your mouth, some of it's going to become systemic, right? Because some of it's going to go just straight into your bloodstream through the membranes in your mouth. Also, some of it you're inevitably going to swallow. So I personally opt to not use fluoride. I think that if we just are taking care of our teeth, flossing regularly, brushing regularly, then, the original idea of adding fluoride is, here we're going to be able to protect people's teeth that can't brush, or that don't know to brush, or that can't afford a toothbrush. But I don't think that using fluoride is a good replacement for not brushing. You're probably going to be safe just with some good dental hygiene.
Another thought on that is, so your teeth are bone and they're a reflection of the health and state of your overall body. So if you're not eating healthy, or you're eating a lot of sugars that are decaying not only your teeth, but really eroding a lot of the muscles and bones and stuff internally as well, then you're not going to have good dental health. So if you're eating well, if you're getting all the proteins, minerals, vitamins that your body needs, you'll notice that your teeth are stronger, you're getting cavities less. So I think it's sort of a two-part thing. There's sort of a local dental health as far as brushing and flossing, and then there's sort of a general systemic bone health that you can work to supplement.
Definitely. And for those of you who are interested in dental type things, I would encourage you to look up Weston A. Price. He was a dentist back at the beginning of this century, and he actually went around the world to all of these different places, and he was studying their teeth, and he was studying their overall health. And what he found was that the people in cultures that were eating their indigenous diet, So the food that was actually growing out of the ground where they lived had not only way healthier teeth, but they were physically, their overall health was much improved. And so he ended up doing tons of research looking into these indigenous diets and looking into the correlation of the health of our mouth to the health of the rest of our body. And it's really, really interesting. A couple of his recommendations are, of course, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, eating things that are local to your area. But he also recommended eating butter, eating bone broth, which would be when you are eating an animal, you would take the bones and then you, I guess, like heat them up in water. I don't really know exactly
steep them. You can cook them on a low heat for several hours, even overnight in a crock pot or whatever, till they start to soften. And then in Chinese herbal and acupuncture sort of theory, and I'm sure it's true, but I haven't done a lot of research, you're basically getting all those minerals and proteins and vitamins to come out of the bone. And so when you drink the broth, you're getting all the benefits as if you were eating the bone, but we can't do that. So.
Right. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and keep moving on here. So there's a lot of comments about chemtrails, and I realize that these are comments from kind of a while ago. And yeah, I think that's a really good example. You know, if you can observe that the weather is changing, that there's things in the sky, well, we don't necessarily know what that is just looking at it. But certainly there have been scientists who have tested the sky and, like I mentioned earlier, find that, oh, well, there's 20 times the amount of aluminum than there would normally be. So something like that you can't really argue with. But in terms of FN, who was it? Russ said, why would smart people be trying to lower the population or slow growth? So this is another kind of back to that question of the intention. Well, I don't necessarily know that there's people trying to do that. But, I will leave that for another topic. I'll make a whole video on whether or not there's a depopulation agenda. Let me know if you guys think that would be interesting, because I could talk for a while about that, more than we have time for in the rest of this live chat. Compliments on Meera's beautiful hair. Okay, so Clint, this is a good question. What can I do to boost creativity? I'm stuck in a creative block. So I feel you. I find that for me, if I'm sitting there trying to be creative, it will not happen, no matter what I do. So I think the biggest thing is that creativity is about inspiration, and sometimes inspiration is totally random. So when I do feel inspired, I seize that moment, and I put everything else aside and go, oh my gosh, I'm feeling really inspired right now. And oftentimes I'll kind of try to write down ideas. So, of course, for making videos, this would totally work. So sometimes I'll just make a big, long list of videos, because then I know when it comes time to actually script, well, maybe I won't be feeling as inspired. So it's nice to have this little list of ideas of things that I made when I was feeling inspired. Also, just think about, what's inspirational to you. So for me, it's helping other people. And one of the things that I find most inspiring is when I feel like there's a way that I can help other people or offer something of value to other people. And I find that really kind of boosts my creativity. Do you have any tips about inspiration?
Yeah, so I can definitely relate. Creativity is not something that you can force. So a few things. One of the things that I notice is if I'm super stressed out, I have such a creative block. I feel like everything's just kind of stuck and yucky, and I can't get past sort of that filter layer. So one of the things that I love doing is if I feel really stuck is I just take some time to get really quiet. Sometimes I sit down and do my meditation practice. Sometimes I really love aromatherapy, so I'll get all my oils and just kind of sniff them to kind of help just change my mood and my state of mind. And I feel like that really helps create this nice positive shift that kind of allows me to start opening up those doors and windows back into my creative self. Another thing that I think is really good is trying new things. So we get really stuck in our routines and our habits and patterns, which I think are very beautiful and functional for our lives. But sometimes it's going to that new place or that new restaurant, or taking a walk if you haven't taken a walk in a long time, or maybe you walk regularly but you haven't checked out this new park or a new place. I feel like going and seeing new sights, sounds, sensations are a wonderful way to help boost your creativity and help kind of shake up the bottle and give you new sensations and ideas to kind of bounce new ideas off of yourself and into the world.
Awesome. Okay, so Dan from Los Angeles, this is a pretty interesting question. He says, how do I get my significant other to start working out with me? So I will just give you guys from personal experience, because sometimes it's hard to tell someone like, hey, you should really clean up your diet, or hey, you should really be working out. But what I've found to be really helpful is that if I am just like, man, I feel so euphoric and awesome after that workout. Or, God, I was feeling so stressed out today, but I'm feeling so much better after doing like 10 minutes of yoga. Or, man, whatever else, I'm in pain or this or whatever. And you kind of are showing them like, here is how working out or doing yoga or eating well, like really helped me. So I feel like I don't have problems with energy. I generally feel really energized. I don't really drink coffee. Every once in a while I'll get that 2 p.m. sluggishness, but oftentimes I can correlate it right back to that I ate a lot of grains at lunch. I had a lot of carbs at lunch, and then I know that's why I'm feeling sluggish later. So, sharing the benefits that you have reaped from doing these things can be a really good way to inspire somebody else. So if you're just, like maybe your significant other is complaining that she has low energy or she's feeling really bummed out or whatever, and you could say something like, well, you know what? I always feel so much better after I go for a run. Like, let's go and see if it makes you feel better. Then it's not saying, hey, baby, you really need to get on the treadmill, right? You're kind of offering it as a solution to maybe a problem that they're actually experiencing already.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think that making exercise and working out fun is probably going to be the best way to help change people's behaviors and get somebody on board with you. So maybe finding an activity that she's inspired about, that she likes to do, whether that's yoga or running or playing soccer or basketball, whatever that is.
Join a soccer team or a dodgeball team or something. That's really fun.
Yeah, I find for me, I love the social aspect of working out. I was never the person that could go to the gym by myself. So when I was in college, I definitely had a few roommates, and we would all go together. And that was what made it fun. I didn't care that we were working out or running out on the treadmill. It was really spending time together and catching up and seeing how their week's been. So I think that it's hard when you love somebody and you really want to see something that's going to be positive in their life, but you can't force them and you can't corner them about it. So definitely, like Corrina said, as far as like sharing the positive effects that you've experienced from your workout, but also, just asking them, is there something that you want to do or something that sounds interesting or something new that neither of us have even tried? I recently started doing acro yoga in January.
Cool.
And that was a really cool thing for me and my partner to connect with, because basically one person's the base, and it's just like how you think of when you're flying as a little kid doing airplane. They have your feet, their feet on your stomach, and then you start doing all these different yoga postures and stuff. So it's a really nice dynamic way to connect with my partner, and we're getting exercise at the same time and feel like little kids playing around on the ground again. So it was definitely a fun way to make the exercise experience more entertaining.
Definitely. That's a really, really, really good tip. I would just encourage you guys to kind of get creative, because chances are where you live, there's probably a lot of different fun ways to get active. So like she said, like joining a soccer team or something, even doing something like going and volunteering at the recycling place or volunteering for an event or something like that can get you active and can get you moving. So really, get creative. Also, if you have pets, or if you know a friend who has a pet and maybe you want to pet sit for a little while, or you want to offer to walk their dog, or maybe you want to tell your significant other that your friend asked you to walk the dog and you want to just ask her to come along with you to make it fun. And the cool thing about getting somebody started with working out or becoming active is generally, if you can get them to start doing it, they will see the benefits, experience and observe the benefits for themselves, and once they start, they'll get into it, and you won't have to push them to do it anymore, because they'll actually see for themselves, wow, I feel better, or I'm losing weight, or I have more energy, etc., etc. Alrighty, you guys, so we are getting close to the end of the live chat here, so now is the time to open the floodgates if you have any questions. So it looks like y'all are kind of split on whether or not we should talk about Obamacare here. Okay, somebody asked about how to keep avocados from getting too soft. Should we refrigerate them? Honestly, avocados, I don't necessarily know if there's a way to salvage them other than to just eat them as soon as they're ready. And then once they pass that point, I do find that sometimes if I open an avocado and it's a little nasty, I'm like, okay, I'm having guacamole. Because if you pull it all out of there and smash it up with a little bit of lemon or lime and a little bit of sea salt, it'll still taste fine. And of course, you'll know instantly if it doesn't taste good anymore, right? And then you wouldn't eat it. But generally, even if an avocado seems kind of too soft or doesn't look super aesthetic, you can still kind of squish it up into some guacamole. I just invented a new food. You can squish it up into some guacamole and still enjoy it. Let's see, what kind of sports did Donnie practice to become so flexible? So Donnie was a dancer pretty much her whole life. And of course, we'll have her on a live chat sometime. You can actually ask that question directly to her. Best way to treat spots or eczema. When we're talking about issues like eczema and honestly, just about any health issue, improving the health of the gut is a really good first step. Mm-hmm. So whether you're having, issues on your skin or any kind of autoimmune issues, inflammatory issues, it's probably a sign that your digestive system is not functioning the way it's supposed to. So probiotics, digestive enzymes can be really helpful. If you have a really chronic condition, then I would encourage you to seek out a doctor of functional medicine or a clinical nutritionist, somebody who can really work with you. And when you go into a doctor of functional medicine, for instance, they will do a whole lot of tests on you because their whole philosophy is about restoring function in the body. So, this is kind of an interesting little perspective, and this was a really big kind of, aha moment for me. So I was actually at Texas Oncology, which is a cancer center. My mom had an appointment there with a doctor. She was having an autoimmune disorder issue, and the doctor at Texas Oncology literally told me, we have no idea what causes autoimmune diseases. Sometimes the body just gets confused. So to compare what we could call the mainstream perspective, and so this is not just a general practitioner, this is the doctor working at Texas Oncology working with cancer patients. So he told me that the body just gets confused and sometimes develops autoimmune disorders and almost accidentally kills itself because it gets confused. But functional medicine, or clinical nutrition, or holistic nutrition, you could say, the philosophy there is that no. The body doesn't just get confused and accidentally kill itself. If the body is killing itself with an autoimmune disorder or attacking itself in some way, eczema is one of many diseases that would kind of fall into this category. There's an underlying reason. It's not just accidental. It's not just because of no reason. And so the whole thing with functional medicine is to get down to the bottom of it. What I like to say, get out a magnifying glass and really indulge in the mystery to figure out, okay, what exactly is causing this problem? And it could be something like leaky gut. It could be something like gluten intolerance. It could be a parasite or a bacterial infection. It could be all kinds of different things. But the whole idea with functional medicine is that they're going to run all these tests and really try to figure out what that thing is. So rather than just giving you a bunch of medications to try and stop the symptoms and then giving you more medications to stop the symptoms that those drugs caused, they're actually going to want to figure out what the problem is, treat you, and then you're gone. You're done. Your problem is over. So again, we can come back and compare it with the mainstream model, which is that, oh, this is a chronic disease you're going to have for the rest of your life. There's nothing you can do about it other than try to manage your symptoms with drugs. So we have a choice, right? We have a personal decision which way we want to go. And I support anybody to make the decision that they want. I just think it's important that we're actually informed, right? We actually know, well, what's the truth about the decision that we're making? So forgive my little spiel there, but hopefully y'all found that interesting. If you're experiencing an issue like that, I would encourage you to look for a doctor in one of those areas. And if you're just kind of looking for something that you can do to maybe see if it helps, I would try something like a probiotic regimen. You can find probiotics at probably any health food store, maybe any grocery store. And if you just put in probiotic recommendations on the internet, you'll find a lot of different people talking about it. So I've heard 5 to 10 billion units is a good kind of recommendation for maintenance. But if you really suspect that you have some severe gut issues, then you may want to actually up the dosage from there. So let's see. I think that about covers it. Did you have a thought to share there?
Yeah, just one thought. So with eczema, and just like Corrina was saying with your gut health, allergens are a big one, food allergies. So with that holistic nutritional practitioner, I would ask them to check you for any food allergies that you may be ingesting that are creating more problems. Because taking probiotics may help, but if you're still eating gluten or even almonds or nuts or some of these other things that are pretty common on the allergy list, then that's, half the battle, but you're not going to get all the way there. Your gut lining is epithelial cells, which is skin cells. So just like she was saying, your gut health is going to be a direct reflection of your external skin health too. So definitely good things to think about when you start eating and changing your diet to help make some positive changes in your life.
Yeah, and I think that you touched on a really good point, which is that the external part of our skin that we see, it really is a reflection of the inside of our bodies. And so if we're having a lot of redness on the skin, inflammation on the skin, then that's a sign that you have inflammation inside your body. And problems like acne or eczema, psoriasis, all of these different things, it's not, you need to kind of get out of the mindset that you need to put something on your skin, and think more about what you're putting into your body, and realize that you can affect your, the way you look externally by changing what you do internally. So something just like drinking more water and laying off all the refined sugar is going to kind of go a really long way in helping with any of those issues I just mentioned. And also recognizing that your skin is not saran wrap. So the things you put on your skin also go into your body and into your bloodstream. So a lot of these products that they sell for acne and even for psoriasis and stuff like that, it's the same thing that I would say about a processed food, right? It's toxic sludge. It's full of chemicals. It's full of a bunch of things that I can't even pronounce. And if I wouldn't eat it, then I wouldn't put it on my skin. So the things I put on my skin are things that I would actually probably feel comfortable eating. I use coconut oil on my skin, sweet almond oil, vitamin E. Those are probably kind of the only things that I actually put onto my skin. But just start to wrap your head around this idea that your skin and the inside of your body are much more closely related than sometimes we think about. Certainly more than they kind of lead us to believe looking at skincare commercials and stuff like that. Okay, the Big Shot 76 has to piss like a racehorse. As always, thank you for sharing things like that. Charlie Wallace said Athena has not left Psyche Truth. That's true. I guess somebody up here was maybe asking about that. And there were a couple of comments that were really cool that people were just kind of echoing. Oh, here we go. Michael Emery. Good advice on wheat. I've stopped eating bread altogether. Noticed an immediate improvement in my arthritis and psoriasis. So there we go. Like I said, the proof is in the pudding, right? What can you observe for yourself? And So all of these different issues, arthritis, psoriasis, eczema, and even the I guess arthritis isn't a skin issue, but just recognize that another kind of elemental difference between allopathic medicine and functional medicine is that allopathic medicine kind of tries to compartmentalize everything. So you've got a doctor for your liver, a doctor for your skin, a doctor for your heart, a doctor if you have cancer, a doctor for your mental health, right? So some people literally are seeing like a dozen different physicians. But functional medicine says, hey, you got one body, that whole body is connected. So I can help you with skin issues, mental health or depression issues. I can help you with pain you're experiencing, arthritis. I can help you with this, and that. So the idea is all about restoring the function of your body. And once you give your body the things it needs to function the way it's supposed to, then all of those different problems will theoretically be resolved once you've kind of hit the nail on the head and really can get to the root of the problem. Okie dokie. Well, you guys, either our comments have frozen here or y'all are out of questions. And it looks like we're just about out of time. So I'm going to sing you out with our theme song. I want to thank all of you guys for being here and for helping me welcome Meera to the Psyche Truth team. Of course, we will be back at the same time, same place next week at 5 p.m. And I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. We literally would not be able to survive if it wasn't for you guys supporting our channel, leaving us likes, leaving us comments. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
It's time for live chat. The Psyche Truth live chat. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. It's the Psyche Truth live chat. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you for being here. Oh, here's a huge flood of comments. Yeah, looks like our comments are lagging a little bit here. So, real quickly, Ben asked, is reflexology real or a myth?
Ben, I think that's a great question that I could spend a lot of time exploring. I personally have experienced a lot of really positive experiences with reflexology. I had some areas with my digestion several years back and didn't tell this to my friend who was practicing reflexology, and they were just going through the different points to see what was tender. And when he got to the point for the large intestine, it lit up. So personally speaking, I think it's totally real. I think science is in a little bit of a lag trying to understand how that works and why it works. So hopefully we will keep on pioneering down that pathway till we understand all the mechanisms of our beautiful bodies that we have to live with.
Awesome. And again, I would just kind of throw in my little proof is in the pudding thing, right? Which is, if you benefit from reflexology massage, then what else do you need? If it helps you, then, then that's, I think all that really matters. We will potentially, do some more videos on that. Lisa Monod says, I've recently become more and more lactose intolerant. Can you tell me how milk affects the body and why it's best to stay away from it? Also, since I've started yoga, I can sleep really well. Do you know why? So, as far as dairy products go, they increase the amount of inflammation in our body. A lot of people are also allergic to dairy products. Our gut is a little sensitive to things like dairy products. So if our gut is not in ultimate primo health, then even if we aren't necessarily lactose intolerant, sometimes we'll actually have trouble with dairy. So we've got a whole video, actually a couple videos that discuss dairy if you want more information. And maybe, do you want to answer this? Maybe, why is yoga helping her sleep better?
So a couple different levels. Yoga is working on relaxing your body, so it's teaching your body how to engage and use it, but it's also teaching your body how to disengage and relax. So you're kind of creating this training program where your body understands how to relax deeper and deeper. Yoga is also wonderful for stress, so you may notice that maybe your levels of stress are decreased after doing yoga. That's definitely going to help you sleep better, longer, more fitfully. You'll wake up feeling more rested. So those are a couple aspects of how yoga is helping you sleep a little bit better.
Awesome. So Emmanuel said there's fluoride in apples. And again, I would just draw the difference between the fluoride that we find naturally in the environment and the hydrofluorosilicic acid that they put in our water, which is not a natural compound found in the environment. And just really quick, because there's two people asking about this. We've got Recovering Girl and Russ is asking about bipolar disorder and psychiatry. You guys, I would encourage you to check out some of the videos on our channel. We have literally hundreds of different videos discussing psychiatry, discussing mental health, discussing those different medications. I could talk to you for an hour about it here, but I would just encourage you, go ahead and go to our channel and put in mental health. And if you just watch one of those videos, you will learn a lot about what our general stance on the issue is. We do not support psychiatry. And if you would like our reasons why, we have hundreds of them. And again, we've listed them all in a bunch of videos. So I would encourage you, if you have questions about mental health, please use our website as a resource, and just realize that the pharmaceutical industry has a whole lot of money, right? We're talking billions and billions of dollars. So they have lots of emphasis on major TV news channels and media, on magazines, on newspapers, because they pay so much of the advertising. And you can observe that by how many pharmaceutical drug ads you see. So most of the information that we receive about mental health and pharmaceutical drugs, especially the psychiatric drugs, we receive from our television or our newspaper or from magazines, but most of those places are getting a lot of their income from the pharmaceutical companies. So their perspective is pro-pharma, is pro-psychiatry, and we are just trying to give you an alternative perspective and kind of show you the other side that we don't often see in those mainstream media sources. So now it's telling us there's a high volume and the comments are disabled. So I'm going to just sing you out the live chat song again, and then we will really go. Thank you all so much for being here. It's time for live chat. I'm having deja vu. The Psyche Truth live chat. It's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. It's the Psyche Truth live chat. Oh, freaking heck yeah. We'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you soon.